Hey everyone, I'm Elan, that there is me, and today I am here to talk to you all about room escapes, or escape rooms. I'm going to use those terms interchangeably because I can never remember which one is the right one, and no one else seems to be able to either. I am addicted to these things. I've been doing them since, I think the first one I did was in around 2011. I know we've all got a collection of these crazy, ridiculous, unflattering photographs. I have my share as well. This is actually a list of every escape room I've ever done. There is just a lot in here. This is not really serving any purpose other than to prove really hardcore addicted. So addicted, in fact, I think I was the first one ever to bring an escape room to Burning Man. This is a picture of our camp. Literally built the thing in Los Angeles, loaded it up into a giant truck, took it out to the middle of the desert, and constructed the thing. It was messy and it was dirty, but there was a line around the block for this thing, like 24 hours a day. When I say block, dirty, unorganized simulacra of a block, the best that Burning Man can offer. But it was great fun, and I love sharing these things. I love doing as many as I can. I've literally traveled all over the world to do them, as I know a lot of you have as well. But I thought it would be fun to talk about why I love these things so much. And the reason this is an important exercise is because I am a professional storyteller. I build experiences for a living, and whenever I fall this deeply in love with something, there's always a really fruitful exercise in exploring why they are so lovely and so engaging, and then use those learnings to everything else I build. So here's my list. I love room escapes because of three aspects of them: the spotlight, the intrigue, and the magic. And what I mean by that, the spotlight, is this is not a movie you're watching. You are the star. We, our team, all gets to be the protagonist of the story. And that's extraordinary. What an amazing experience it is to not sit back and watch somebody else have an experience, but to actually have the experience yourself. I'm very excited about that aspect of it. The intrigue. We all have our reasons why we love or hate certain rooms. The reason that I hate some rooms is because they fail at this part of it, the intrigue. If I'm working on a puzzle or an experience where I already know the outcome, or it's already something I've done before, a Sudoku, a maze, a crossword puzzle, I've done those a million times. It just feels like homework. I know what's at the other end of that thing. It has failed on that intrigue part. But the rooms that nail that you pick up an object and you're wondering what the hell is this thing and how does it work and what's going to happen next. So lovely, just so incredible, and done right. Very world-changing. Which brings me to the last one, which is magic. The best rooms allow you to become an extraordinary version of yourself. And my favorite expression in the middle of a room, kind of in the heat of it, is when a room brings out the line from me, "I didn't know my life could do that." That's the best. That's so amazing when you can hit all the right notes and make someone realize that life is a little bit more extraordinary than it was a few moments ago. So spotlight, intrigue, magic, those are really important elements for me, and something I pay very close attention to in every room I experience. Okay, so now how does that apply to anything useful in life? I run this company called Exploding Kittens. We're a card game company. We've got this was our original game, Exploding Kittens, released on Kickstarter. We've got a bunch of games since then, but I'm actually not here to talk about Exploding Kittens. Instead, I'm here to talk about conventions. To run a tabletop game company, you have to go to conventions. They're kind of a necessary evil, and I call them evil because they're really big, and they're really noisy, and they're really goddamn crowded. And when I say really big and crowded, like, look at this nightmare. It is impossible for a small company to stand out at a place like this. It's just everyone screaming into this cacophony, and it's hopeless. And ultimately, because we have to go to these things, we end up building this. This is our booth, right? A little bit of art on the back, table out front, you say, here's my thing, somebody comes up, they pay you whatever the money is, you hand them the thing, they walk away, and that's it. That's the whole interaction. They have no memory of what just happened. And I thought, we can do better than that. Like, what about that intrigue? What about that magic? Like, what about those things that we've learned from room escapes? What if we tried to apply them to conventions? And what I realized is we ought to start with a vending machine, because that booth interaction I just described is a vending machine, right? You walk up, put in money, get the thing, walk away. So what if we start with a vending machine and then we start applying those lessons we learned from escape rooms? And what that meant for me is, well, first we got to cover the basics, right? The thing has to be capable of inventory management, right? Put in money, get thing. It has to be capable of payment process, the put in money part. It has to handle a few other things like interaction. Now, that could mean something as simple as push a button, but again, when we start to talk about that magic and intrigue, what if we took interaction a little bit farther? It also has to know what proximity detection, right? Is there a person in front of me or not? If there is a person in front of me, sure would be awesome if it could identify them to then start using their life as that canvas, right? Make it that very, very personal thing, put the spotlight on the person. Adaptive reasoning means it really needs to figure out, like, if a person is in front of it and does something unexpected, how do you deal with that? And as I'm sure a lot of you know, that is a very tough bit of programming. Machine learning would also be nice to throw into this thing. If you make mistakes, can you learn from them? If you have new experiences, can you load that into a new database so that you won't ever make that same mistake twice? And of course, we had a very limited budget, being a brand new startup when we first devised this thing. So, like all startups I've ever run, you get this crazy list, you have not nearly enough time or money, and the best you can do is just try. So we built this thing to the very, very best of our abilities, and this was version 1. Built this in my garage out of an old refrigerator box. You can start to see the buttons on front, but to make this look really cool, we covered it in fur and put 2 big googly eyes and ears at the top. So that at the very least, even if we fail at this whole endeavor, you're at least going to want to walk up and give this thing a giant hug. Now, this vending machine did all the things a vending machine was supposed to do. It had those big buttons on the front so you could push it and get your item. It had this slot where you could put in money and do that payment processing bit. It even had this screen where it could interact with you. And I'm so proud of this screen. We didn't do a pure digital screen. This screen was very special. The screen, we wanted it to look kind of janky. So it had these cardboard signs that would deliver messages to people. And they all looked handwritten. And the signs were really fun. We could make them say anything. It could show you the total bill that you had to pay. It could, laugh at you, make jokes, all kinds of fun stuff. Very, very proud of that screen. More on that in just a bit. But the question, of course, is, did it work? Hell yeah, it worked. We had the most incredible responses to this thing. People were amazed, and they just stared at it, and they lined up, and they gathered around in a way that I had really never seen before, nor expected that degree of success. But what we really ought to be talking about is that button right there. Because remember, I talked about that intrigue and that mystery. Like, what does it mean when the world doesn't behave the way you'd expect? How do you elicit that response? I didn't know my life could do that. Well, that was this button right here. That button says random item $1. And when you push that button and put in your dollar, you are truly going to get a random item. A piece of fruit, pineapple, you might get a stuffed animal, a piece of origami, a little plastic paratrooper, a hot burrito lunch, a toilet plunger. The machine was capable of delivering more than 2,000 random items. So you could sit there and watch this machine for hours and never see the same item come out of it twice. And some people got in line many, many times to just keep receiving those random items because they always got such a great response. One of the rules for our random items was that none of them could ever be small enough that you could fit it in your pocket, because I needed these things to do a bit of advertising, right? I needed you to walk around a convention looking like this, and someone taps you on the shoulder and says, hey dude, why do you have a mop stuck to your backpack? Oh, well, it's over there at the Exploding Kittens booth. Go just follow the giant crowd. So everybody who experienced the machine would then do a little bit of advertising for us, because you couldn't possibly hide the items that you received from it. All right, so how did we pull this off? Because I said we had a very limited budget. And the answer is this was not at all a vending machine. This was actually a vending machine costume. And inside were a bunch of people running around like lunatics trying to pull off that magic trick every minute of every day. Here's what the back of the machine looks like. You can see it's just a giant hollow shell. There's a one-way screen, so we can see them, but they cannot see us. And it takes a bunch of people to operate this thing. It takes one person to sit there handling the money, going in and out of the machine. It takes one person to operate all the signs. It takes one person to work the cash box and the calculator and compute taxes and credit card payments and all that. It takes another person to run back and forth between the front of house and back of house. It takes two more people to sit in the back of the house and craft those crazy, crazy random items that we would produce so regularly. Here is that fancy display that I was so proud of. The reason we could write anything on a sign and display anything on a sign is because they were actually signs held up by a person. Each one was just a miniature dry erase board. We would scribble on them very quickly and then hold them up Roadrunner style to display whatever we wanted. The back of house was big, but not very big, just the size of a few phone booths. And back there, we stored a whole lot of people and a whole lot of things, and there was never quite enough room for anyone to have any personal space at all. Here's just a quick movie. You can see it's just nonstop. If you're sitting back there, what we need you to do is learn how to build a balloon animal, learn how to present something to the crowd, learn how to put googly eyes on a piece of corn, because that'll be funny when that comes out. Here's the front of house, the experience that people have when things get handed out. We stocked the back of house with a bunch of our games, because obviously people were buying a bunch of our games, but we also stocked it with random items. So many. And so many, in fact, the first day we didn't even know what we were getting into. The first day we ordered a bunch of stuff and then ran out, like within 2 hours. So we sent half the team to the dollar store to buy everything. Like everything. I mean, all the soap and all the toilet plungers and all the scrubbers and all the pineapples and on and on and on. You did not want to be the person standing in back of us at line in this dollar store on this day, because we just vastly underestimated what was going to be required here. We would, once we got the items, we would put little eyes on lemons in that example. Here's our collection of toilet plungers. Here's bedazzling a banana. We started to write jokes, right? We got a pool noodle, and the question was, what do you call a fake noodle? An impasta? Yeah. This is tough when I can't hear you laughing, and I'm just going to assume an uproarious response to that incredible dad joke. The collection of things just got more and more intense back there, which leads us to the question, did it do what it was supposed to do? Yeah, it really, really did. The idea behind this machine was to use those tenets of room escapes. Like, can we put a spotlight on a person? Hell yes, we can. Can it feel like you're the protagonist, right? Having your own experience? Of course. Is it intriguing? Did you ever know your life could be this way? No, you absolutely did not. And that's why we saw two things. One is a line around our own booth. You can't see the rest of the line, but it actually goes down the hallway, across other people's booths, blocking fire lanes, outside down the block. It was about a 2-hour wait to get to the front of the machine, which is eventually what got us kicked out of most conventions. It just gets us in trouble with the fire marshal, who hates this sort of thing. But we love it. And it's so cool to see 200 people gathered around the front of the machine, not even waiting in line, just watching it to see what it's going to do next, what insane object is going to come out. And one of the problems with line management when the crowds grow this big for our silly little booth is, I'm actually going to back up one sec. For our silly little booth is we have to get in there. and we have to get backstage, and the crowd is blocking us. And so we tried line managers, we tried pushing people aside. None of that worked until my friend Jordan Gold had this great idea. He said, give me a roll of duct tape. And he went out there and he just put this on the floor. Lava. 100% solved the problem. We now had a pure open channel to get backstage anytime we want. No one would step on those words. Love those solutions. When I say that the thing was interactive and then it recognized people, obviously we got people backstage, but I wanted to talk you through like what that actually means, because remember, I have to deliver an experience that is unique to the person. Your life has to feel magical. You had no idea this could happen. So what we would do is we would send out scouts and they would watch the line, and when they saw someone of particular interest, like someone was cosplaying the Mother of Dragons from Game of Thrones, we would very quickly get a watermelon, and we knew we had about 20 minutes before she got to the front line, and we would bedazzle it to look like a dragon egg, so that when she gets to the front of the line, puts in her dollar and hits the random item button, she gets a freaking dragon egg. And the crowd loses their mind, because that is impossible. That cannot happen. And yet there it was. She walked up, and within 5 seconds, a freaking dragon egg came out of the machine. We did this. We took selfies with stormtroopers. We handed out fruit to little girls. These are some of my favorite pictures. Look at that kid on the left. All we did, he came up and we unrolled 6 rolls of toilet paper at him. Just threw them out of the machine. Roll, 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 roll. We gave him 6 rolls of unrolled toilet paper. Look at the look on his face. That is the happiest day of that kid's life, because he got 6 rolls of toilet paper. Look at the girl on the right. She walked up with that giant unicorn hat on, and we had a few of those little unicorn horns you can see in back. I think there's 3 of them there. She came up and we just bent her down and put more just unicorn horn after unicorn horn on her head in front of this giant crowd, and completely made her day. So simple, but personalized, customized for her, creating magic where she just did not think it could possibly exist. This kid got another joke. Here's a close-up of that banana. Banana, you get the idea. All right, so I want to go through just a few more pictures just because they make me so happy. Look at the look on this kid's face. He has just pushed the random item button, and he is waiting in anticipation. What is going to happen? What is this machine going to do? Magic is now real. I am about to experience it. That's the look. That's what we're trying to get. That's what Room Escapes have taught me. Here's 3 sisters. They just came up one after another. We decided to take a selfie with them. You can see we put a little camera on a selfie stick and just jammed it out the front of the machine so we could take selfies. Here's a kid we rolled up in toilet paper, and his mom being a very good sport about it. Look at her. We're about to put fairy wings on her. Greatest thing ever. When you do stuff like this and you're walking around a convention, sometimes you see toddlers with toilet plungers and one of our games. And yeah, when does that ever happen? Like, when do you get to have such an incredible experience? This little girl, she must have been, 12. She sent us a love note. She hand wrote a love note talking about how wonderful the giant kitty was and how she was in love with it. And so we quickly ran out and got her a rose, and I hope made her day. Here you can see the love note. It also worked really well. Like, we're a company, right? So we need to do really well on social media to spread the word. It did incredibly well on social media. Like, it was trending on Twitter and on Facebook and on Instagram. Everywhere you would look, there was another story about an experience that people had with our insane vending machine. Just to sum up, because I know we're going to run to questions and a little bit of a Q&A at least. We set out to do this insane thing, to take these learnings from Room Escapes and bring them to a very, very fast, like 20-second experience per person. And that is really ambitious. Like, we really set out to build probably the smartest machine that ever was. And I don't actually think this is the smartest machine that ever was, but I absolutely think it's the best machine that has ever been. And it makes me so happy that we were able to bring this much joy to people. It even makes me happy that we got kicked out But all of that, literally all of that, is thanks to the learnings from escape rooms. And I hope that you'll all be able to find your own learnings and plug them into what you do in real life. Thanks very much.